Hello, friends. Let me tell you today a story that is called Mrs. Packletide's Tiger, written by Saki. It was Mrs. Packletide's pleasure and intention that she should shoot a tiger, not that her hunting instincts had suddenly been awakened, or that she felt she would leave India safer with one fraction less of wild beast. The compelling motive for her sudden interest in following the steps of Nimrod was the fact that her neighbor, Luna Bimberton, had recently been carried 11 miles in an aeroplane by an Algerian pilot and talked of nothing else more for the past fortnight. In a world that is supposed to be chiefly swayed by hunger and by love, Mrs. Packletide was an exception. Her life was chiefly governed by jealousy of Luna Bimberton. Now it was only a tiger shikar and a heavy launch of press photographs that could save her prestige. She had already arranged in her mind the luncheon party she would give in her house in Curzon Street, especially in Luna Bimberton's honor, with the tiger skin occupying most of the drawing room and almost all the conversation. She had also already designed in her mind the tiger claw brooch that she was going to give Luna Bimberton on her next birthday. Circumstances proved favorable. Mrs. Packletide had offered 1,000 rupees for the opportunity of shooting a tiger without overmuch risk or exertion. Now it so happened that a neighboring village was found to be the favorite rendezvous of a tiger of respectable heritage. To add to the luck, the tiger had been compelled by its increasing age to abandon the hunting of wild animals and confine itself to the eating of smaller domestic animals. The prospect of earning the 1,000 rupees had greatly aroused the commercial interest of the villagers. Children were posted day and night on the outskirts of the local jungle to head the tiger back into the village in case it decided to roam away. And the cheaper kind of goats were left about with great carelessness to keep the tiger satisfied with his present quarters. The chief worry was lest he should die of old age before the date appointed for the Memsahib's shoot. Mothers carrying their babies home through the jungle after the day's work in the field hushed their singing, lest it disturb the sleep of the ancient tiger. The great night duly arrived, moonlit and cloudless. A platform had been constructed in a comfortable and conveniently placed tree, and on it crouched Mrs. Packletide and her paid companion, Miss Mabine. A goat gifted with a particularly loud blade, such as even a partly deaf tiger might be expected to hear on a still night, was tethered at the correct distance. With a rifle and a pack of cards, the two sportswomen awaited the coming of the quarry. I suppose we are in some danger, said Miss Mabine. Nonsense, said Mrs. Packletide. It's a very old tiger. It couldn't spring up here even if it wanted to. If it's an old tiger, I think you ought to get it cheaper. 1,000 rupees is a lot of money. Lisa Mabin adopted a protective elder sister attitude towards money in general and hated to see pennies and paisa part from its owner. Her speculations about the market value of the tiger, however, were interrupted by the appearance on the scene of the animal itself. As soon as the tiger spotted the tethered goat, it lay flat on the earth for the purpose of snatching a short rest before the grand attack. I believe it's ill, said Louisa Mabine, loudly in Hindi for the benefit of the village headman who was crouching in a neighboring tree. Hush, said Mrs. Packletide, and at that moment the tiger started ambling towards its victim. Now, now, urged Mrs. Mabine with some excitement. If it doesn't touch the goat, we needn't pay for it. The bait would have to be paid for as an extra. The rifle flashed out with a loud report, and the great tawny beast sprang to one side and then rolled over in the stillness of death. In a moment, a crowd of villagers swarmed onto the scene, and then, shouting speedily, carried the glad news to the village. Following this, the beating of drums announced the killing to the people, echoing the triumph in Mrs. Packletide's heart. Already that luncheon party in Curzon Street seemed very near. However, it was Louisa Mabin who drew attention to the fact that the goat, mortally wounded by a bullet, was breathing its last gasp, while no trace of a bullet wound could be found on the tiger. It was evident that the wrong animal had been hit, and the aging tiger had died of heart failure caused by the sudden report of the rifle shot. Mrs. Packletide was, of course, rather annoyed at the discovery, but at any rate, she was the owner of a dead tiger, and the villagers, anxious for their 1,000 rupees, gladly agreed to hold on to the story that it was Mrs. Packletide who had shot the tiger. Miss Mabine was a paid companion, after all. So it was with a light heart, and Mrs. Packletide faced the cameras, and her photographed fame sprayed from the pages of Texas Weekly to the illustrated Monday supplement of the New Women. As for Luna Bimberton, she excused herself from attending the luncheon party on a pretext and refused to look at any of the illustrated papers for weeks. And of course, the letter of thanks that she sent in return for the gift of the tiger claw brooch was a model of concealed hate and envy. From Curzon Street in Calcutta, the tiger skin rug travelled down to the manor house in England and was duly inspected and admired by all in the country. It therefore seemed a fitting and appropriate thing when Mrs. Packletide went to the county costume ball in the character of Diana, the goddess of hunting. A few days after the ball, Louisa Mabin suddenly remarked, how amused everyone would be if they knew what really happened. What do you mean? Asked Mrs. Packletide quickly. How you shot the goat and frightened the tiger to death, said Miss Mabine, with her disagreeable, unpleasant laughter. No one would believe it, said Mrs. Packletide, her face changing color rapidly. Luna Bimberton would, said Miss Mabine. Mrs. Packletide's face turned a shade of greenish white. You surely wouldn't give me away? She asked. I've seen a vacant cottage near Dorking that I should rather like to buy, said Miss Mabine in answer. £680. Quite a bargain, only I don't have the money. Lisa Mabine's pretty weekend cottage, christened by her lace fowl or wild beasts, and gay in summer time, with its garden borders of tiger lilies, is the wonder and admiration of her friends. It's a marvel how Lisa could afford to buy it, is the general comment. Mrs. Packletide indulges in no more big game shooting. She always said the incident expenses are so heavy. She confides this to inquiring friends. Here ends up the story. Let me explain the story in short. Here, Mrs. Packletide was an ambitious lady and she was very jealous of Luna Bimberton. She was jealous of name and fame. When she heard that Luna Bimberton had become very famous after being traveled in an aeroplane by an Algerian pilot, and the town talked of nothing else, only about the Luna Bimberton, she decided to take a chance. So she decided to kill a tiger so that she could be appreciated by the press like Luna Bimberton. Accordingly, she made a plan. Then she arranged it for the tiger shooting. She also took a paid companion named Lisa Mabine. Then she decided to kill a tiger, and circumstances also proved to be very much favorable. She got a tiger which was very old. The villagers informed her that the tiger was old, and then they have to just keep the tiger in that jungle so that before the shooting was fixed, and the villagers arranged it because the villagers would be paid 1000 rupees for arranging that tiger. So children were posted day and night on the outskirts of the jungle so that the tiger should not roam away, just to keep an eye to the tiger, and cheaper kind of goats were left within just were left about with a great carelessness so that the tiger was satisfied with that goat and tiger would not leave that jungle. Then the great day came, or rather the great night duly arrived when the shooting was fixed. Louisa Mabine was telling constantly to Mrs. Packletide that uh, why are you paying so much money for an old tiger, and 1000 rupees is a lot of money. So from this we can understand that Louisa Mabin had got a very much protective elder sister attitude towards money in general, and she used to speculate about the market value of the tiger. Now, when the goat shouted and the tiger came, and Mrs. Packletide shot, after that it was found that actually Mrs. Packletide shot the goat and not the tiger. But as she was a paid companion, the villagers also declared that no, Mrs. Packletide was the owner of the tiger. Then the party started, the photographs and everything were done. Mrs. Packletide became very happy, and Luna Bimberton was also very much, she was also very shocked to see this. And in a party, what happened? Louisa Mabin suddenly told Mrs. Packletide that everyone will be very much amused if they knew the exact incident. That means Mrs. Packletide did not shoot a tiger but a gut. Hearing this, Mrs. Packletide became terrified because if everyone knew this, then she would be just in nowhere else. For that reason, in this way, Louisa Mabin took that chance and she blackmailed Mrs. Packletide, and she told that she would keep quiet if Mrs. Packletide would buy her a beautiful cottage. And Mrs. Packletide had to buy that beautiful weekend cottage to Louisa Mabin, and Louisa Mabin named their cottage with lace fowey or wild beasts, and she also decorated the cottage with tiger lilies. Mind it, here the tiger lilies came, the flower tiger lilies, just to signify that this incident is related to the shooting of a tiger. Now, then, when Mrs. Packletide was asked by her friends that why don't you go for another shooting? And Mrs. Packletide said that no, 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 no more big game shooting because the incidental expenses are very heavy. Incidental expenses means the expenses after the incident. That means actually Mrs. Packletide meant to say that she had to pay a lot of money to buy a cottage for this Louisa Mabine. That's why she emphasized the word incidental expenses. In this way, by blackmailing Mrs. Packletide, Louisa Mabine had a beautiful gain. She got that beautiful weekend cottage. I didn't explain this line to line, but if you want it, or if you want a line to line explanation, you can share a comment. Then I can explain this to you word to word, line to line. Bye for today. Bye.